start in Knoxville, Tennessee, and day 2 of the Joel Guy Jr. double murder trial. He, of course, is accused of killing and dismembering his parents after they decided to cut him off financially.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another horrifying true crime story. It was the kind of crime that left even the most seasoned detectives reeling, the kind of horror that stains a community forever. In the quiet suburbs of Knoxville, Tennessee, during Thanksgiving weekend of 2016, a brutal and unimaginable tragedy unfolded. A son, the one person you'd expect to trust most, turned against his parents in the most horrific way possible. Joel Guy Jr., a 28-year-old unemployed college student, had been living off his parents for years, but when they decided it was time to cut him off financially and start fresh in their retirement, Joel Jr. couldn't accept it. What followed was a gruesome and calculated murder that shocked the nation. This is the story of a son's betrayal, a family's heartbreak, and a murder so grisly it left investigators struggling to cope. Welcome to our True Crime series, where we uncover the details of this chilling, real-life case. It was a regular Thanksgiving weekend for the Guy family in 2016. Lisa Guy, a 55-year-old nurse, and her husband, Joel Guy Sr., a 61-year-old engineer, were enjoying the holiday with their 3 daughters. Their son, Joel Jr., had stayed behind after the family meal, while his sisters headed home. Little did they know, this seemingly uneventful evening would be their last. For years, Lisa and Joel Sr. had been financially supporting their son. He was living with them, attending college at Louisiana State University, but at 28 years old, still dependent on his parents for financial support. However, the Guys had plans to retire, move to a different part of Tennessee, and cut Joel Jr. off from the money they had been sending his way. The couple was ready to enjoy their hard-earned retirement, but Joel Jr. had different plans. Investigators later revealed that Joel Jr. had been preparing for the brutal murders long before that fateful Thanksgiving weekend. He had a detailed notebook filled with plans for how to carry out the killings. In the pages of his notebook, authorities found instructions for dismembering the bodies, a list of tools including killing knives, carving knives, and even a sledgehammer to crush bones. He'd written about how to dissolve the remains in corrosive substances and, chillingly, how to profit from his parents' deaths by collecting their life insurance policies. The financial motivation was clear. He believed that by killing his parents, he would inherit their wealth, including a $500,000 life insurance payout. On the night of November 26, 2016, Joel Jr. turned his dark plans into reality. Prosecutors believe that Joel Jr. attacked his father, Joel Sr., first. The elderly man fought for his life, suffering 42 sharp force injuries, some so severe they severed his ribs and damaged his internal organs. After killing his father, Joel Jr. waited for his mother to return from shopping, a detail that would lead to the brutal and final act. When Lisa Guy arrived back home, she was greeted with a nightmare. Joel Jr. viciously stabbed her 31 times. Like her husband, she suffered extensive injuries, including 21 severe wounds and several severed ribs. The brutality of the attack did not stop there. After killing her, Joel Jr. set to work dismembering her body, cutting off her head and limbs, and attempting to dissolve the remains in a mixture of chemicals. The scene inside the Guy home was nothing short of horrific. Deputies discovered Lisa Guy's severed head in a boiling pot on the stove. More of the couple's body parts were found in 45-gallon containers filled with a corrosive substance designed to liquefy their remains. Authorities described the scene as a diabolical stew of human remains, one so disturbing that even seasoned investigators had a physical reaction to the smell and sight of it. After carrying out the murders, Joel Jr. left the house, presumably to avoid being caught with his bloodied hands. He drove back to his home in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, seeking treatment for an injury he sustained during the murders. The investigators soon discovered that, despite his apparent attempts to flee, the brutal crime had left a trail. The family's missing persons report would soon lead authorities to the gruesome scene. On November 28, 2016, Lisa Guy failed to show up for work, and her employers called for a welfare check. That was when the full scale of the crime came to light. Authorities entered the Guy home, finding the blood-stained house and the overpowering stench of death mixed with chemicals. The investigators couldn't believe what they were seeing, but there was no denying what had happened. Joel Jr. was arrested and charged with the first-degree murder of both his parents. During the investigation, authorities discovered even more chilling details, including his extensive plans to carry out the murders. His notebook, which had detailed step-by-step instructions for dismembering his parents, served as damning evidence in the case. In the trial, the prosecution argued that the motive behind the murders was money, $500,000 worth of life insurance. The Guy family had planned to retire and cut their son off financially, but Joel Jr. couldn't accept the loss of his funding. They said he killed his parents in a fit of rage, believing that their deaths would secure his financial future. The case was so gruesome that even the investigators had trouble processing what they had uncovered. In fact, the severity of the crime was enough to affect the jury, some of whom described the scene as the most disturbing they'd ever encountered in their careers. After weeks of testimony and emotional victim impact statements from family members, including Lisa Guy's brother and half-sisters, the jury found Joel Guy Jr. guilty of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents. The courtroom was filled with emotion as family members spoke of the grief and trauma caused by his actions. Joel Jr. showed no visible emotion during the proceedings, maintaining a stoic demeanor, even as his family and the jury expressed their anger and disbelief. Knox County Criminal Court Judge Steve Sword sentenced Joel Guy Jr. to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The decision to sentence him to life came with the possibility of parole after 51 years, but prosecutors have vowed to seek consecutive sentences, ensuring that Joel Guy Jr. will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Joel Guy Jr.'s case serves as a grim reminder of the depths of betrayal that can exist within families. What began as a Thanksgiving dinner with a son and his parents ended in one of the most gruesome murders in Tennessee's history. The couple, who had spent their lives working hard and raising their children, were betrayed by the one person they trusted the most. As the victims' families try to find peace and move forward, the case remains a chilling example of how greed, anger, and resentment can lead to unspeakable acts.